Ever podium at SAE Baha from this Team High off-roading. Every time that we spent in the workshop, maybe even till 12 at the night, all the efforts, all the pain, all the endurance we did.
Seniors were so happy, alumni and our faculty advisor, everyone was so happy with that.
Always taught me to never give up.
I am capable of doing so much work, made me do better in class.
Provided me a platform and I could network with different companies, different industries.
They're just amazing people and each of them have their own story to share. So just listening to them talk and understanding where they come from, it was eye-opening.
A vast ideology of how the actual world works, how to tackle and manage with each and every aspect of life.
Hire is more than a club to me, so it's kind of like my people, my team.
With the same mindset, same mentality, everybody looking towards building something new and feels like a second home.
It's my dream team and the second family for me. For all the automotive enthusiasts, Team Haya will welcome you.
They're going to make sure you improve, you become a better person and a better engineer. And this gives you the most holistic engineering life experience ever.
I would just say do it. This is the best part of college and I have experienced it.
So that's what Team Haya is to me.
It was called engineering.
Hey guys, I'm Anmol Garg and I'm a stand-up comedian. Engineering teaches you a lot in terms of problem solving, logical thinking. It has helped me create my content as well.
I believe there is a higher power, there is someone watching us. So I did this startup and you guys won't believe, within the first 4 months itself, my startup made 31 lakhs. Yeah, in losses.
The best part of PES, what I like is your peers, and these guys are really out there and really good at what they do. If you're here at PES, use your peer network, alumni network, that's a big plus. And of course the infrastructure, as you can see, you got the best of the best. Any facility, any kind of research, I think the college is going all out to make sure you can get everything in one place.
But recently I called my dad to one of my comedy shows. In the show, after the show, in fact, I asked him, "Isme sabse acha joke kaun sa laga?" He said, "Your career."
PES University made me into who I am today.
aspirators know no limits. Some say it's freedom, some say it's confidence. That's the world of design. This limitless aspiration should be for everyone. The day we got to share this space, we saw minds coming together, eagerness buzzing through the air, and a thirst for wanting to do more. A moment where everything felt possible. As smiles peered through, our hearts were humbled. We knew that this was just the beginning, fueling a dream, one child at a time.
Good evening, everyone. If we can all settle down, we can get started for the day. I am Ritu Parna. I am the program coordinator for Bharat Unleashed. Today is a significant milestone in the journey of PES, and we are honored to celebrate 50 years of PES, our golden jubilee, with the people who give it life. Our students, alumni, faculty, parents, and our distinguished guests. To herald our new beginning, I would like to introduce to you our two student MCs. Yash Mutnakar is a charismatic individual who is all about physics, geopolitics, public speaking, music, and football. Currently in his final year, studying ECE at PES, Yash is driven by his love for innovation and leadership, having been at the forefront of the biggest clubs and fests on the campus. He is a certified classical pianist, a film connoisseur, and an unvanquished debater. Shruti Pai is currently pursuing a computer science engineering degree at PES University. She has been on stage since the age of 4. Public speaking and performing in front of a large crowd comes as second nature to her. Being a trained Bharatanatyam dancer, she was the head of the Indian contemporary dance team, Sanskriti, which has won several accolades under her leadership. Over to you, Yash and Shruti.
Navasya chitasya na niveshaham. There's no limit to a creative mind. Good evening and thank you for joining us. We extend a very warm welcome to the esteemed dignitaries, respected speakers, faculty, and our fellow students to day 2 of Bharat Unleashed. Yesterday, today, tomorrow. Let us continue on this enlightening journey through the world of disruptive innovation and Bharat's thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem.
We have all convened here today to celebrate the legacy of PES University, an institution that has been a beacon of academic excellence for the past 50 years. This legacy is cemented not only in academic and technological achievements, but also the institution's resolute contributions to education and society. Today, we take pride in celebrating the sense of belonging and purpose that PES has instilled among all those who have been a part of its illustrious journey.
I am Yash Mutnalkar.
And I'm Shruti Pai.
And we are honored to stand before you as anchors for this momentous event that embodies the spirit of innovation and progress.
So let's start this thrilling journey where engaging conversations, transformative perspectives, and the collective wisdom of our speakers will surely reshape how we view innovation, entrepreneurship, and India's limitless possibilities. Welcome to Bharat Unleashed.
Before we begin today's exciting festivities with Bharat Unleashed, let us come together in harmony, guided by the melodic notes of Professor Arundhati Vasishta from the Department of Performing Arts.
Without further ado, I invite Professor Arundhati Vasishta to the stage to render the invocation and help us commence this monumental occasion by seeking the blessings of the Almighty.
जगत्कारणं कारणज्ञानरूपं सुरादिं सुखादिं गुणेशं गणेशं जगत्कारणं कारणज्ञानरूपं सुरादिं सुखादिं गुणेशं गणेशं जगद्व्यापिनं विश्ववन्द्यं सुरेशं जगद्व्यापिनं विश्ववन्द्यं सुरेशं परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेम परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेम परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेम परब्रह्मरूपं गणेशं भजेम.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that beautiful rendition. We now request Professor Jawahar, the Honorable Pro-Chancellor of PES University, to kindly welcome the gathering.
Namaskara. On 11th October 1972, 25 years after India's independence, a 35-year-old young man strongly believed that true nation building could only happen through education and formally registered People's Education Society. That young man, our guiding light, as committed today is my father, Dr. M.R. Doreswamy, the founder of PES. Distinguished speakers, members of the Board of Governors, members of People's Education Society, invitees, press and media, alumni, faculty colleagues, and my dear students. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to the Golden Jubilee celebrations of PES. Frugal means and ambitious dreams were energized by our founder's strong belief in Gandhiji's saying, "Find the purpose and the means will follow." PES started the first formal academic program with just 40 students in a rented gymnasium in 1973. Today, we have nearly 25,000 students studying in 40 disciplines across 6 campuses in Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. The PES vision to enable our students to be professionally superior and ethically strong global workforce committed to the core values of perseverance, excellence, and service have been driving the execution strategies of all our initiatives across PES. Our committed faculty and outstanding students, with their dedication and hard work, have done remarkably well across disciplines and continents. They have brought laurels and recognitions to PES, which has propelled us to being recognized as a premier educational institution in India. Life in PES is about trying to push the bar a little bit more, constantly innovating and never standing still. Bharat Unleashed is the first of the many events that will celebrate the Golden Jubilee of PES this year. These events will give us an opportunity to reflect on our past and set the agenda for the next 25 years, the Amrit Kal of India. This 1.2 million square feet state-of-art Golden Jubilee building complex is the first milestone in the next phase of the PES journey. The Speaker Conclave, Innovator Expo, Distinguished Alumni Award Function, and entertainment program during the next 4-day event is an ideal platform to interact with our stakeholders and get more clarity to our purpose. Today's Bharat Unleashed theme, Disruptive Innovation, Breaking the Status Quo, will be the key to India becoming a $30 trillion developed economy by 2047. I just recall very recently when B.V. Jagdish was here on the campus, 1 month back, we were there in this auditorium, and he saw what was happening here. And he said that, "Are we going to be celebrating our Golden Jubilee function in this hall?" And I said, "That's what we are trying to do." And the only reason I believe very strongly that this happened is because one man really pursued it like his dream to make this particular beautiful auditorium happen. And that is Professor Ajoy, our Chief Operating Officer. On behalf of the management, staff, and students of PES, who have worked tirelessly to make our experience a memorable one, it is once again my pleasure to welcome you all to the Golden Jubilee celebrations of PES. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for those encouraging and enlightening words. The theme for today, Disruptive Innovation, Breaking the Status Quo, embodies the very spirit of challenging norms and leveraging innovation in a rapidly evolving technological landscape.
Technology is evolving at a fantastic rate, and India has been at the forefront of it. Not only are we now able to make payments in seconds using UPI, but we are witnessing wave after wave of innovative financial services, from investments to credit systems. While the world stood still during the pandemic, India led the charge in addressing the crisis by developing revolutionary vaccines.
More now than ever does disruptive innovation truly make a gigantic impact on our lives. With the continual release of mind-blowing generative AI like ChatGPT, Bard, and DALL-E, it barely takes a few minutes for us to accomplish tasks that would often take hours on end. Creativity knows no bounds, and the futuristic element of working in a virtual space paints a fantastic picture of the ongoing digital revolution.
As students, we are not just beneficiaries. We are catalysts driving this change, embracing technology to reimagine entrepreneurship and create a more connected and efficient world. With today's theme, we explore how Bharat, India, fueled by disruptive innovation, reimagines its governance framework, bridging the past, present, and future in a dynamic digital landscape.
As we delve deeper into the landscape of innovation and transformation, we have the privilege of hearing from exceptional minds who have reshaped industries, taking India's steps to modernization to the next level. Our first speaker is an incredible person who has contributed greatly to one of the pillars of India's foundation.
I'm sure many of you here love to travel. How do you like to travel, Yash?
I love traveling by trains, simply because train journeys allow me to travel with the perfect combination of comfort and India's scenic beauty.
Well, I think it's safe to say that India's rail network has perfectly leveraged innovation and has supported our trade, tourism, economic, and human development since independence. The first speaker for today is a visionary, a leader who has been a crucial part of building India's first locally built high-speed train, an engineering marvel, the Vande Bharat Express.
This luminary has lived and breathed railway development throughout his 38-year career and has cleared milestones at various levels of administration and design to help develop the backbone of the Indian economy. Please join us in welcoming the brilliant and innovative architect behind one of the biggest steps towards a truly Atmanirbhar Bharat, Mr. Sudhanshu Mani.
Good evening. Project. So I have a story to tell, but you are all power people, accomplished alumni, faculty, bright students, and to expect that you will listen to me patiently just because I have that story is like expecting that a bull will not charge you because you are a vegetarian. Look at the saying by Mark Twain that there is nothing more interesting than the human mind. So Indian Railways is not an institution, you love it or hate it, especially in our context, something that you can easily ignore. I will begin with one question. We are in Amrit Kal. How many of you believe that before 2047, that is before the Amrit Kal ends, India is going to be a developed country? Most of you. I too do believe that, but is it going to be with enough inclusion or not is the only question. I have some caveats. One is, of course, that I'm not a great speaker, so I borrow a lot from my poet uncles. My 650-year-old uncle, poet Karim, my English uncle, Shakespeare, and my 250-year-old uncle, Ghalib from Delhi. This is a story I have told many times, but in the hope that stories and men are alive, like a mind which matures with age. I will not come here and give you a lecture. I will only speak about a little about what I have been able to do with the wonderful team that I have been pleased with. I start with these wonderful words that Portia says in the Merchant of Venice, that if to do one as easy as to know what one good to do, chapels have been churches and poor man's cottages places as palaces. So in the same vein, if to do one as easy as to come to you and speak, don't do that. Only speak about proof of the pudding. And remember these wonderful words again of the People's President, that dream is not the thing that you see in sleep, but is that thing that does not let you sleep. Some data about Indian Railways, which I'll skip. I'll skip many slides and just give you a glimpse. So if you want, you can take that up in the question and answer. But 8.5 billion passengers, that's like everybody on earth travels the Indian Railways once a year. You have heard of Make in India, which was started to make India a manufacturing hub, a factory of the world, some successes. Later came COVID and government rejigged into Atmanirbhar Bharat with the hope that these lions of Make in India would roar into self-reliance. Liquidity infusion, money in people's pocket and things like that, collateral fee loans, which I don't understand, some of you do. But the spirit of Atmanirbhar Bharat is what I want to talk about. You see, there is something called transfer of technology, which I call an oxymoron, because technology is a creation which lives in the mind and the heart of the creator. That is not something you can easily transfer. मेरे शेर आईना खाने में तेरी बेशुमार अदाओं के मगर ऐसी भी है कोई अदा जो रहेगी सीना राज में, which means I can go poetic about your beauty, but there is some elegance of your beauty which will remain buried in the recesses of my heart. We are stuck between mindlessly global and hopelessly local. The truth is somewhere in between. Coming to railways, whatever runs on rails, locomotives, trains, whatever we have, is all manufactured in India, but the brain does not lie in India. It was all designed, the technology was created abroad. My spirit for Atmanirbhar Bharat is, unless the gap is too large, okay, there are fields where the gap is too large, create your own, good or bad, your own, because that pride and ownership can challenge you to do 120, 125% more than what you were otherwise capable of. And that brings me to this simple question. I know to do anything anywhere, you need vision, leadership, will, determination. But I say the first thing that you need is to love what you do, is to love your organization, is to love the people you work with, those above, those below, your colleagues. Because human resource is still the most important resource in spite of all the AI and so on. All you need is empathy and love, and rest would be taken care of. Ek lafz se mohabbat ka adna ye fasana hai. This word love has this brief story. एक लफ्ज़ से मोहब्बत का अदना ये फसाना है, सिमटे तो दिले आशिक और फैले तो ज़माना है. If it shrinks, for the benefit of those who don't understand Hindi Urdu, if it shrinks, it is the heart of a lover, but if it expands, it is the world. For me, it was easy. I worked for this organization. You know the scramble for the window seat. As the wonder, the magic, the marvel of Indian way of life passed you by. Desolate here, crowded there, hard work, grind, celebration, joy, mourning, pathos, rivers, valleys, mountains. If you don't appreciate that, perhaps you are a prisoner of your own conflicts and confines. In Antonio, in A Tempest, Antonio says that travelers never did lie. Fools at home condemn them. That said, I am not here to talk to you about the romance, the legacy of Indian Railways. I am here to talk to you about this. For decades, the way our trains look, the image, the recall, close your eyes. Indian Railway train is what you see on the top there, top right. With such a large network, engineers, huge, and still, when is India going to have an aesthetically superior, technologically advanced, speedier modern train? Was the angst and also a dream
which became the seed of this story, ladies and gentlemen. In 2016, I came up for, in government, you know, donkeys and horses move in the same file. And some of these donkeys, 5% of them get a chance to get thrown up as a title called general manager, which is like an institution. People wait all their life to be the general manager to do things. My chance came in 2016, and I was ready, and everyone wants a zone, not a factory. Zones are big, like Bangalore is southwestern zone in Jubilee. It's a fiefdom in a feudal organization. But some factories also have GM, so I requested for posting as the GM of Integral Coach Factory, Chennai, the largest factory of Indian Railways. I was easily afforded that. I landed there, set up by Jawaharlal Nehru to be a factory to manufacture current technology coaches. That dream was not matched by any vision by people like me. And that's why more of the same. He kept making the same trains, not much technology or variety. It has the Limca Book of Record, world record, of having manufactured the maximum number of coaches from one premises in the world. Premier Chow En-lai, the gentleman with the garland in the center, came here in 1955 and said he would like Chinese engineer to come to Chennai and learn from this engineer how to make coaches. All Orient should be proud of. And 70 years hence, where are we? How many of you have seen this cartoon? Before Kroon, Indian overhauled China. In population, India overtakes China. And what Sam Altman, he was in news, said, something about you can't do much, but it's still your responsibility to make that attempt. Why we don't? Some reasons I've jotted down. I'll not go into it. You can have your own. Nevertheless, I was called to speak to Kolkata IIM as being a government CEO. I didn't know what a CEO was. So I did my internet research. Thanks to empowerment given by this government, the GM of an Indian Railways is enormously powered. If he wants a huge canvas also afforded, if he wants with that variegated palette of colors to paint it in shades and hues that he likes. But, you know, in government, you are there to exploit the fruits of office. You're not there to deliver. Unfortunately, that's what it is today. Nevertheless, it's very easy to start in government because all you need, while setting this up, they have, they have removed the animation, so some of my striptease is over, but nevertheless, it's easy because all you need to do is break boundaries, do with empathy, break barriers, walls created from the British times, and all that I did. My second in command told me 10,000 crore enterprise, 12,000 employees. I said, yes, 0.5% of 10,000 crore is mine. I'll spend to improve things. He said, do that, don't interfere with work. Many things only related with simple empathy. I will give you only one example. What you see on the right corner is, since I didn't have any work, I would just take a walk and meet 500 people in 1.5 to 2 hours. Now the GM is ceremonial. He is there to cut ribbons, sit on a dais. He's not there to meet workers. I would go and ask them one question I was told never to ask in an industrial milieu with hundreds of workers there. And the question was very simple. Any problem? I am your GM. So they don't know the name of the GM. They don't even know the face. Where's the question of knowing the face? Any problem? I was told you'll be flooded with problems 99% of the time. When I asked this in my English or broken Tamil, no problem, sir. If there was a problem, it was attended very then and there. But basically, just breaking boundaries, doing nothing else. That striptease picture that I have on the left corner, you would remember how Manani Rahul Gandhi ji went and hugged the Prime Minister in the Parliament. You know that, right? That's not important. What's important is what the Prime Minister said. And this I can't translate. The Prime Minister said, आज पता लगा कि गले लगने और गले पड़ने में क्या फर्क होता है. All I did was gale pado these people and break that colonial mentality still exists in our government, unfortunately, rubbing off in private sector as well. That said, you see, every organization has, they say square root, 10% of the people do 50% of the work. I say no, 25-30% do most of the work. Rest, just watch if there is a premium on performance or a punishment for not performance. So all you need to do is take care of 2-3% who would not work and don't punish them. I said no punishment. Either reform or sack them. You'll say government and sacking? Yes, it's possible much more than private sector. I'll tell you later if you want to know. We were able to throw out 165 such people. The message went across. There is something about ideation which is thrust down up. We have to only encourage it. I will not talk about it now, maybe in question and answer. And similarly, break. Distrust has not taken us far. Corruption has increased. This distrust came upon us because the Britishers thought that Indians in senior positions are not to be trusted. And we are continuing with that system. All I say today, because the corruption has increased, give complete trust to the leaders you appoint. If you don't trust, don't appoint. Having appointed, complete trust is the solution, and that can take India places. We were able to more than double the production by this simple formula of too many cooks spoil the broth, some other measures. Said, we are government, we are overstaffed. I'll not appoint anyone. I'll only bid goodbye to some of you. I will try to take, this is important, that's why maybe I'll burst a couple of minutes. See, this is not about lip service of women, empowerment of women. It has to be in spirit. I said, I am not a Chief Justice of India. I am a simple administrator. If I learn of a case of sexual harassment, I don't want any inquiry. I don't want any deposement. I will record, and I'll tell all my executives, all 165 of them, I will record that no inquiry is possible because we don't think that we want that lady employee to relive that horror. And using the powers given by Government of India, I'm kicking out this gentleman. Now, the same day, we remove 4 such people. So these many women employees come to us and say, we are appointed as welders, fitters, but these men use us as helpers. What do you want? Make gangs. Okay. Segregation? No. Empowerment. The picture I am leaving with you, ladies and gentlemen, is 29 Chennai women, aged 23 to 57, supervised by a lady, building an entire railway coach through heavy lifting and fitting entirely on their own. And their output, arguably, if not better, was certainly equal to those of men. Now I come to the simple story. You see, we have this circle of influence, of concerns, so many of them, but we forget that circle of influence that we have. We are so consumed by these concerns. Chinese saying, just light a little candle, remove darkness around you, don't bother about the darkness all over the world. This was my time to light the torch. And about the dream, what the president said, I tell youngsters, don't live in that dream. Look after your bread and butter, your sustenance, your life, but don't let that dream die. An opportunity will come your way to realize it like it came when I was 57 years old. So I had the dream, the vision, the fortune of great set of people, great set of staff, audacious, chutzpah to do something new, bored of doing more of the same. I had to only channelize their energy, but there was one doubt. You may be a powerful GM. You are going to build a train which will have no locomotive. It will run at 180 kilometers per hour. You need a sanction. You can spend whatever money you want, but a thappa from the board. I said, as your leader, I'll get it, but I was foolhardy. I met with a lot of negativity, everything. So I went to the chairman, a lot of logic, he wavered. Then I told him, you import whatever you want. Give me a sanction for 2 trains, and I'm going to grab your feet and not leave it till you give me the sanction. You see, it's all about pride and vanity. Pride enhances you. You look at everyone with happiness. I will go back with that pride to my people that here's the sanction, start work. By grabbing his feet, I'm only killing my vanity. One of you is going to kill it anyway someday. Why not kill it yourself today? I go with the sanction and then I'm told, there are gaps which we can't do. We can raise 20%. I said, yes. Not knowing something is not shameful. Pretending to know everything is. As my uncle has said, be a witty fool, not a foolish wit. So we engage consultants for design only, not to any company whose only interest is to give you good design, help you design, which would help us when we design a train for 200 to 220 kilometers per hour. And the last thing I said, they said that you are retiring in December 18, we are in April 17, gives us 21 months. A project of this magnitude, from concept to design to engineering to manufacture to prove out to validate, takes 36 to 42 months. You will retire, where would we be? So I said, yes, that's a problem. So the only solution is finish the work before I retire, so that nobody can abandon it. We are Indians. If I may borrow the phrase, we can work like donkeys. Our minds may not be where the German mind is, but we can really work hard all over the world. After that, it was a story. I come to my last 3-4 lines of opportunities, roadblocks, synergy, solutions. For the next 18 months, it lived up. And to make sure that the train goes out in the calendar year 2018, we gave it a name. We called it Train 18. It lived up to its name once again. In exactly 18 months, in October of 18, it was unveiled. It was released after a great ceremony. It was tested at 180 kilometers per hour. Launched as Vande Bharat Express between Varanasi and New Delhi by the Prime Minister himself. There was some negativity for 3 years after we built 2 trains, but we'll not talk of that. Today it is back on rails. 49 or 50 trains are in service, transforming the way India travels, the higher-end travelers. I can't say that for lower-end travelers, that's a separate subject. Nearly 4 years of trouble-free service, which is, the engineering student would know, in 4 years, 50 trains is much better than 6 Sigma. It's just a train, not Chandrayaan or Mangalyaan or a missile or a rocket. Why did we get such love and appreciation, particularly me as the leader? We never thought this would attract this kind of attention. And when we look back, we only see travelers, non-travelers, Indians, everyone all over the country, even before the train was put into service to now, thronged to see what Indians had created, their own baby for themselves. Entirely Swadeshi, so to say. My uncle has said things one are done, but the joy soul lies in the doing. I have recounted this story so many times. It was so joyous, wonderful to have worked on the project with this wonderful team. But good people like PES University give me the opportunity to relive that joy once again. So thank you very much. My last word, ladies and gentlemen, 1,000, 1 million such projects are possible in this country. All it needs is leadership with empathy, passion, and a sense of purpose. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your incredible wise words of wisdom. I think your unique ideas of embracing love, empathy, change, and creativity in our professional lives has truly resonated with all of us present here. We now have a few questions posed by the students of PES University.
From idea to iconic locomotive, can you take us through the journey from the inception of the idea of Vande Bharat to making it a reality?
Oh, I thought that's what I was doing for last 20 minutes. So can we not go to the next question?
Okay. How do you see the balance between investing in high-speed rails or upgrading traditional rail networks?
Yeah, so good question. Apart from US, which has its own lobby for highways and air traffic, and perhaps Australia to some extent, there is no country in the world worth its name, mind you, which does not have high-speed rail. And railways, maybe you're not aware, some of you may be aware, compared to air and road, is 6 to 8 times cleaner. So, that answers your question. You need rail. You need a type of train which will match air traffic. Once I was going from Frankfurt to Cologne, I had a Lufthansa ticket, and I went to the check-in counter and I was told, yeah, well, it is an LH some number, but it is a train. Please go to the railway station. So, high-speed rail is inevitable. We have wasted a lot of time in procrastination and indecision. Thanks to the present Prime Minister, we started in 2014. I would say we should build 2-3 more. Ahmedabad, Mumbai, perhaps Chennai, Bangalore, couple more. It's a large country. We have a large amount of money is being spent on railways, 2.62 lakh crores in capex. And then evaluate. You may find it's not that beneficial for us. But don't waste your time in procrastination and debate over decades and decades. So it was stuck in politics, but now it's well on rail, and we'll perhaps have by 2029 the first high-speed rail. Instead of too many surveys all over the country, which is more like hype, I would suggest 2 more, build them, ready them by 2035, then engage in a proper fruitful debate. I'm sure we'll find on environmental issue alone that it's worth it, and it can be made sustainable because it is competing with air traffic.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sir, what are your thoughts on the role of public-private partnerships in the development of railway infrastructure?
Yeah. Having served in government all my life, I have no hesitation in saying that the best of government cannot match the best of private sector. Average of government may do better than poor private sector, no denying. So, for efficiency, private sector is a must. And then for investment also, government should not fall into that debt trap. So for investment as well efficiency, private participation is a must. And because this is infrastructure which needs a lot of input from government, and not only input, there has to be a stake of government to make sure that all the risks are not taken by the private player but by the government also. So PPP is absolutely the answer. There are many successes but many more failures. That's a separate subject, but as a philosophy for infrastructure development, it's a must.
Thank you so much for your answer, sir.
Sir, how can universities like PES contribute to the Viksit Bharat Vision 2024?
Yeah. So, the government is not very receptive to innovation and ideas, unfortunately. So what we were able to do was in spite of bureaucracy and government, not because of it. So the key lies in making because of it. How does that happen? Huge government is a big spender. It's no point blaming the private sector or the academia that no R&D takes place. The primary role is first of the government to fund that, to support that, and not merely fund that, to look at the long-term sustainability of a new development. China does it, it's not rocket science. So for example, your university, a good part is that privatization, backdoor privatization, not direct, is happening in rail sector also. Specific to rail sector, I do see in 5 years from now, vibrant private sector in manufacturing as well. Someday in operation of trains also. But primarily, since you are an engineering institution, vibrancy of private sector manufacturing of trains and allied equipment is going to happen. I'm hopeful. And that will open the gates for institutions like you to join startups, to have incubation of ideas, incubation of companies, and so many things are possible. Because today, what happens is you have a product and you multi-source it. The environment for being receptive to a new product which does not exist is not there. And you need that for universities like you to think and come with that product. I hope that happens. It's my hope.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. So that brings us to the end of the question answer session, sir. To express our heartfelt
I will take just 30 seconds and maybe burst it by 5 seconds. Sure. So what was notable, as I said, we did our work. We thought we were doing a good thing. We never thought we were making a world-class train. It is not a world-class train, by the way. It's first attempt. If anybody calls it, however high he may be, calls it world-class, that's like living in a fool's paradise. Strong words. In your first attempt, you're not going to make a world-class train. You need to improve continuously. Unfortunately, in last 5 years, numbers have increased. That improvement that's possible in a vibrant country like us with engineers, I don't see it yet. But that's not the point. Point is, when we were doing it, we were trying to give it our best. Success is measured, unfortunately, in terms of outcome of value. And if that fear of not achieving that outcome of value drives you from trying, our doubts are traitors which make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. We only attempted with a wonderful team. But I was fortunately the leader. I got all the limelight. All the heroes of that team remained unsung and unknown, and it was my job, and nobody else could have done it better, to tell not only the story, but call out all these team members by name and record their contribution for posterity. And that's why I wrote this book. It's called My Train 18 Story. It's available in Amazon. I don't have any commercial interest in it. And today it's my pleasure to present a copy to Professor Jawahar, if he can step here. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. To express our heartfelt gratitude for your presence, please accept this humble token of our appreciation. Sir.
Sorry.
Before we welcome the next speaker on stage, let me ask you, how many of you here would like to be entrepreneurs? Well, amazing. The freedom to innovate, bring about change, and create national and global impact drives our students today with an itch like no other.
Our next keynote speaker is a trailblazer in the world of technology and a seasoned entrepreneur with an unparalleled track record. With a career spanning decades, this serial entrepreneur has left an indelible mark on the tech landscape, steering companies to become market leaders.
He currently serves as the managing partner at KAAJ Ventures, a venture capital firm that invests in early-stage high-tech startups. Under his leadership and guidance, these companies have experienced skyrocketing profits and exponential growth.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming a true visionary and a Silicon Valley legend, Mr. B.V. Jagdish.
Good evening. How are you? Can you hear me? No? Can you hear me? Hello? Yes. Can you hear me? Such a pleasure and an honor to be here, especially on this special occasion of the Golden Jubilee celebration of this PES University. I've been associated with PES for almost 25 years. In fact, I was one of the early seed investors in the company Jawahar started back in those days called EduRite, which was kind of like pioneering and revolutionizing how education, especially for the lower level of the schools, was going to be revolutionized with this EduRite. And this whole digital part of the education, right, is what EduRite visualized at that time. And eventually EduRite got acquired by one of the British companies. So it's fascinating to see this institute evolving to greater heights like this. As Jawahar said, I was here just about 3 weeks ago when I did my entrepreneurship class for a bunch of students over here. And I just couldn't believe that this auditorium was going to be completed in just about 2 or 3 weeks. So it's amazing to see such a wonderful auditorium ready to go and the whole celebration happening. You know, India, as you just heard from Sudhanshu, is going through very, very, very exciting times. Very exciting times. And I normally visit a couple of times in a year, and a bunch of my friends, venture capitalist friends from Silicon Valley who are here for their normal December visit, interestingly were telling me, watching the excitement that's going on in India right now, they said, you know, I want to come back and I want to be part of this Indian growth that's happening. Because if I recall, I went to the US back in 1982, and at that time, the US GDP was approximately $2.5 to $3 trillion. So from $3 trillion, today it's about $25 trillion or so. So I have seen the whole evolution of what happens when a country's GDP grows from $3 trillion to 25. And India is expected to grow, as we just heard, to be one of the top markets for the entire world. And I just want to share this picture of the Lion King, which sort of actually tells the story of what India is going through at this point of time. I'm sure everyone knows the story of Lion King. This Mufasa, who was the original king of the forest, he was deceived by his uncle, and he got cheated, and eventually he dies. And his son, Simba, who kind of like takes a back seat, and he doesn't grow to be like his original character. Until such time when Simba was asked to lead once again to become the king. And Simba goes on to become the Lion King once again. And it's very important to actually understand this story, because if you look at the history of what India went through, back in 1500s, India's GDP contributed to over 25% of the world's GDP. Over 25% of the world's GDP. Okay? This is pre-British colonization. And we saw post-colonization, the GDP contribution from India dropped to just about 2.5% of the world's GDP. So today we are seeing, once again, the growth. Now we are about $3.8 trillion, and we are expected to hit $10 trillion by 2030, and about $30 trillion, as Jawahar said, by 2047. And we will be, by 2030, we will be number 3 in the world behind United States, China, and third will be India. That's such a proud moment. And in fact, a lot of analysts are predicting that by 2080, India could be the world's #1 economy in the world. World's #1 economy in the world. So, the key aspect of the drivers for this growth is obviously you guys, right? The #1 thing is the youth population. India boasts of the youth population to be greater than 50% today. And the service sector, so it's not just the software services aspect of it. Everything that provides the service is going to be massive. It's going to be massive. And manufacturing and medical technologies and agriculture, and as you heard from Sudhanshu, the woman-led empowerment as well. Because India plays a very important role. In fact, I've worked in Silicon Valley for many, many years. I hardly see women in the engineering field. India is perhaps one of the few countries where there are so many women who have the equal rights and working hand in hand, whether it is ISRO, whether it is engineering or anything, women play a very important role. And that's important from a diversity perspective, so that they can bring their own perspectives. So what happens when the country's GDP grows from $3.5 trillion to $10 trillion? This actually provides an incredible opportunity. The demand on the consumer products is going to increase. The demand from corporates are going to increase significantly. And that's what leads to innovation and startup companies, because startup companies play a very, very integral part. History has always said new jobs are always created by startup companies, right? If I tell you Google started with 2 people, and today it has close to almost 200,000 people, or even more, worldwide, directly and indirectly employed, right? It just started with 2 people. Cisco started with 2 people, same thing. So startups are an integral part of the economic growth because it brings that innovation. And some of these problems, as you see, right, when the economy grows and the opportunities increase and startup companies are going to be born to solve a lot of these problems that consumers face as well as the corporates are going to face. Obviously, some of these problems are going to be solved by the global companies. But there will be plenty of opportunities. I mean, I just took a few examples. For example, Flipkart, when they started, they saw the opportunity to be different compared to Amazon, where they said, hey, we can accept cash, because back in those days, it was important to buy using cash. And Amazon was always done through credit cards, and India did not have credit cards. So Flipkart solved that problem by accepting cash at the time of the delivery. So likewise, there will be a lot of indigenous things that would be required in developing countries, which of course India is going to become a developed country as well. But the other opportunity is the language-specific opportunities, right? So, and India has always proved to be learning and adapting to the cutting-edge technologies, like someone talked about this ChatGPT or generative AI, and what opportunities that provides for startup companies and innovators as this economy moves towards $10 trillion. So the startup anchors, it's very important to understand what the anchors are for these startup companies to succeed. So if you look at an analogy, the US was a main driver in creating of the internet. I mean, who would have expected internet would create trillions of dollars of economic power? And that was driven by the US government. Same thing with GPS. GPS was created by the US defense at the time of Ronald Reagan called the Star Wars. And today we cannot even live without GPS, right? Now you take an analogy, Indian government invested in this Aadhaar, and that has led to this UPI, which has completely, dramatically changed the whole payment way. And this could be the guiding star for every other country. And in fact, India has already offered this technology to many other countries as well. That's our innovation. So for the $10 trillion opportunity, startups, as I said, play a very important role. And the most important thing that needs to happen in corporate India is to be able to adapt the startup company products. Just like how we see it in Silicon Valley. As a new company comes up, all these corporate guys who have the need for innovation, who have the need for new product and out of the box kind of an approach, they will adapt these Silicon Valley technology products. We have to see similar kind of things where the corporate will adapt the innovation that's coming from startup companies. We have started to see that, but that has to happen in large number. In a decade, in about 10 years, I expect that Indian startup companies will get to at least $50 to $100 million revenue just by starting the company here, selling the products in India itself, and getting to the global level. So kind of like if you visualize how a Silicon Valley company proliferates into rest of US, generates about $50 to $100 million revenue, and then starts expanding into European market, into Japanese market, into Asian market, and all of that, I would expect that when corporates starts to adapt the startup company products, I would expect that $50 to $100 million of revenues will just get from India itself. And why do I believe that this is possible? Because there are multitude of financing options. So for startups to succeed, funding and financing is a very, very, very important element, because you need somebody to be able to take the risk of investing in these startup companies. And you already see today, there's a bunch of US venture capitalists, there is a bunch of Indian venture capitalists, and as wealth is being created by this next generation of the companies that are becoming successful, all these guys are taking the responsibility to go and fund the next generation of the startup companies. So that means if I'm a budding entrepreneur in India, I have lots of opportunities compared to 15, 20 years ago. I have lots of opportunities to tap into the funding, which is a very important aspect. The other aspect is lots of non-resident Indians, people who have been successful in different parts of the world, actually want to come back and help. As I mentioned earlier, many of these people are actually looking back to come and participate in this India growth. Because there is that connection, there is that attachment that they would like to be part of it. Market opportunity, as the middle class is going to grow from 100 million people to 200 million people. That's almost the size, the middle class size of what America is. That means the spending power of these 200 million people is going to significantly increase. And that's what is going to spur the economic movement. Youth population, and the other most important thing is there is enormous amount of data. With India having 1.3, 1.4 billion people, anything you touch, the data is massive, So in Indian Institute of Science, they have started this program called the Center for Brain Institute. As you all know, this disease of dementia and Alzheimer's is actually killing a lot of people. And that's increasing, especially as more and more people get to the age of 60 plus, right? More and more people are being impacted with the dementia, with Alzheimer's or Parkinson's and all of that. So this Center for Brain Institute at IISc, they have started to tap into some 20,000 people across different backgrounds, and they're collecting the data starting from the age of 40 or 50. So now, if some of these people over the next 10, 15, 20 years, if they get that dementia or Alzheimer's, they now have scanned information over a period of 15, 20 years, which helps India to address, just like how we did the vaccine, here is an opportunity in India for entrepreneurs to work with institutes like this to solve some of the biggest and major problems that the world is facing. And in education sector, there is plenty of opportunity. In fact, one of my friend's companies, Excel Tech Software, based out of Mysore, he has created almost like a 1,200 plus crore kind of a company sitting in Mysore. And this company is ready to go IPO sometime next year. And there is another company called Center for Creative Learning. Just in the last 4 years, it is generating almost like 100 crore of revenues. So point is that opportunity in various fields is increasing, and it makes an entrepreneur, right, to take advantage of these opportunities and creates some incredible companies. So we know Zerodha, we know, right, how they came up with an innovative way of doing the trading. It's one of the profitable companies as well. And Ather has created this innovative electrical vehicle which could be transported or exported into other countries as well. PhysicsWallah is another educational company which has come up with an innovative way and being profitable. So I also looked at it from, okay, here are the growth opportunities. What would prevent this growth from not happening? So that means as you hit this $10 trillion, right, as Sudhanshu was saying, you know, we have always been used to getting technologies from outside. What does it take for us to do these kind of things, and what would prevent us from not doing it? So obviously, the number one is lack of infrastructure. If the country doesn't invest in the infrastructure, both interstate and intrastate or intracity, it's going to be a problem. Air quality index, lots of people actually get scared about the air quality index in India, so that needs to be improved. And business processes, we need to make it as simpler as possible. That means the policies around creating these businesses, whether the business is getting foreign investment or local investment, right? You need to make the processes as simple as possible. The second is, given the fact that you have the center which makes its own decision, to state makes its own decision, there has to be more collaborative effort to improve on all of this. Education quality, bringing in creativity, bringing in multi-dimensional sort of an education, all of these things will help. And lastly, focusing on research to solve kind of like this Center for Brain Research. That's what is going to help address many of the problems that we are facing today, and that's what's become the opportunities for startup companies. So let's go work on it, and I would say ready, set, go. It's a good opportunity for the youngsters, good opportunity for entrepreneurs, and there's plenty of support that exists. Let's make it happen.
Thank you so much, sir, for your inspiring words. You have wonderfully analyzed data that history has presented to us and shown us the path that we must all take to make India's dreams a reality. So we have a few questions posed by the students of PES University, and we would love to hear your thoughts.
So, what do you believe are the most common challenges faced by early stage entrepreneurs, and how can they navigate through them?
That's an excellent question, actually, because for startup companies to succeed, there are two things that needs to happen. One is the product market fit. And the product market fit is the most challenging aspect of building a startup company. What is the meaning of product market fit? I am an entrepreneur. I have a hypothesis of solving a problem, and I create a product, and that product has to be fit with certain market. So figuring this out is the hardest problem, right? And during the process, every customer is not going to be an early adopter. This is the second point that the startup companies need to be aware of. So you have to find who the early adopters are for the product that I have built, because those are the guys who are more welcoming to take on a new technology. Because every company, for whatever reasons, security reasons, scaling reasons, multiple reasons, they may not be ready to take on a startup company product. So you cannot just go and knock on the door of a company that is not ready to accept a startup company product. So the entrepreneur needs to figure out this product market fit and who my early adopters are. And if you can address that, then scaling and building an institution becomes a lot easier.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, could you please share your success story where your guidance significantly impacted the growth of a portfolio company?
Yes. I was a seed investor, and I was on the board. I was the chairman of this company called Net Magic Solutions out of Bombay. So I funded this company back in 99, 2000 timeframe, which today has become the leading data center company in India, right? So the key aspect of a startup company is this whole product management ability, right? Meaning, how do you build the product based on understanding the needs of the customer? So that is a very iterative process. And when we come from the service industry background, because in service industry, you don't get to see the evolution of the product from zero to all the way, right? Because you build a project for a company. You don't really understand what it takes to build a product. So building a product is conceiving the idea, building the product, creating documentation, creating presentation, selling that to the customer, all that stuff. So I would say bringing this concept of this whole product management and the early adoption into this company, which is now has translated into almost like a $500 million revenue company and the #1 data center company in India today, I think that's been one of my greatest contributions.
I think that's fantastic, sir. So how do you identify promising investment opportunities, and what criteria do you normally consider?
See, typically I see two things. #1, the entrepreneur himself or herself, right? Because this journey of the entrepreneurship is a very long journey. Between the investor and the entrepreneur, this is almost like 6 to 10 years. So this is not like a short-term thing. So I need to make sure that I can work with this entrepreneur for the next 6 to 10 months, right? The entrepreneur should be able to listen to feedback. And entrepreneur should be able to navigate through difficult situations, right? And when a mistake is made, how do you correct quickly from the mistakes? And then learn from mentors the mistakes that they have made. Don't go and do the same mistakes again. So that's the #1 criteria, which is the entrepreneur himself or herself. #2 is this idea that the entrepreneur has got. I want to make sure that the market opportunity for that is big enough, because I'm always interested in creating an institution. I'm not really looking at creating something that just sells very quickly. I want to create an institution like this NetMagic, right, which has become an institution that has provided jobs for 10,000 people. It has revenues of $500+ million. So that's the kind of entrepreneur and an idea that I would like to focus on when I'm making my decision.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sir, could you share some pivotal moments or experiences that significantly shaped your career and your transition from engineering roles to executive leadership positions?
Yeah. Well, I think as technical people, we somehow tend to just focus on the technology, and we kind of like, want to celebrate only on the technology aspect. I think it's equally important that the technology, the product, ultimately it has to reach the hands of a customer. So which means we all need to work and support the sales organization. I was fortunate when I started my company because of my technical background, and as a founder of the company, I was pretty much going to every one of the customers, right, along with my sales guy. And the conversation between the technical person and the customer is the most important conversation. That's what results in the sales deal to happen. So working in the sales shoes and working with the customers or working for the customers, I think that's a skill that every one of us need to learn. So it's not just enough to learn only building of the product and building of the technology. So you have to take that and figure out, how do I bring this to the customer, to the market, and understand from the sales perspective. And I think that's what gives you the leadership qualities, right? Because you start getting the entire perspective of building the company, building the product, the team, and all of those things. I would say wearing that shoes of the sales was the real change in my career.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful words.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Sir, we would like to express our heartfelt gratitude for your presence with a humble token of our appreciation.
Thank you so much.
You know, I think the inner Bangalorean in me is ready to start a company of my own now.
I think that sounds great. As engineers, we always look to find various avenues to challenge the creative and innovative parts in us.
Our next speaker embodies this very spirit of startup culture and digital transformation. Her work stands as a testament to the impact of strategic partnerships and innovative solutions within the tech startup sphere.
Recognized as the best startup ecosystem enabler by Startup India last year, she has been recognized as one of the top 10 innovators in India in 2021. She is most notably an invited member of the CII National Mission for Technology, Innovation and Research and the CII National Startup Council.
She is also a strong policy advocate, an angel investor, and a board advisor for startups that play a critical role in accelerating and amplifying digital transformation. In addition to degrees in engineering and psychology, she holds specializations in digital transformation and entrepreneurial leadership from UC Berkeley and Stanford University, respectively.
Currently, she heads Cisco for Startups and engages in business development for digital native enterprises. Please join us in extending a warm welcome to the enterprising Miss Shruti Kannan.
Good evening, PES. A very, very happy and a healthy 2024 to all of you. At the outset, I would like to congratulate and wish PES University, Dr. Jawhar, Dr. Duraswamy, the esteemed faculty members, all of you students, distinguished alumni, parents, proud grandparents. This is indeed a momentous occasion for all of you to celebrate the Golden Jubilee. So, first of all, congratulations to all of you. Let's give a round of applause. I'm very pleased to share the stage with such luminaries. Mr. B.V. Jagdish has seeded not just funds, but he's also seeded a lot of ideas and growth for so many companies. Thank you, Mr. Jagdish, for your wonderful ideas and thoughts around the $10 trillion economy. We just heard Mr. Sudhanshu Mani, who's given to the nation innovation in such a way that it prods us to think, not just at the speed of sound and light, but also aspire us to travel at that speed as well. Thank you so much, sir. Now, thinking of trains, it kind of takes me back to nostalgia, childhood. All my vacations, they have been filled with train journeys, wonderful memories. And this year too, I decided to take my year-end vacation between Christmas to New Year. I was off, taking my retreat. Any guesses where I went to? Of course, Mani sir, I'm not asking you this question because I'm sure you'll know the answer. Any guesses where this one was? Yes, I do hear that very loud and clear. Darjeeling, Himalayan Railway it is. The eastern part of India, such a beautiful part of our country, which is filled with such greenery and peace. Now, to get to the eastern part of India, though I didn't take the train, I had to fly. So I decided to book on Akasha Air Flight, which was founded in 2021. So I'm going to take you with me on this journey that I did very recently. I booked a Blue Smart cab, an all-electric company which was founded in 2019. My journey to the airport was pretty seamless because I also had access to DigiLocker. All the digital documents that I needed were right with me. I didn't have to, have multiple bags, one for my identity card, this, that, document, certificate. All of it was quickly packed into the DigiLocker and very easily accessible. And once I got to the airport, no more fear of crowds because the entry was very seamless with DigiYatra. Powered and architected by Data Evolve, a 6-year-old Hyderabad-based company. DigiYatra has simplified access and security for so many of us. And once I was in, all that remained was to board the plane. And this seamless transition, a seamless customer experience, an exhilarating start to my journey was powered by many companies, many startups which are working very closely with the Bangalore International Airport, one of which is Zest IoT. This is one of our portfolio companies at Cisco, and they've been working to improve the amount of time it takes for the planes to get back onto the skies immediately so that it's very easier to have fast and optimized traffic of the planes. Okay, so all said and done, my journey had started with a breeze of innovation. So much of startup innovation had already touched me, and so all it remained was for me to feel the breeze of Eastern India. Eastern India was very welcoming. The roads were so good, especially the ones which are built by BRO, the Border Roads Organization, were flawless. But other roads could hardly be called roads. The infrastructure was not so much to the mark, perhaps because of the landscape. So many landslides that plague the region, the mountainous activity there, it's all plaguing the terrain that people are operating in. So I do understand that there is, an inherent challenge in maintaining the road infrastructure in these areas. Power was pretty scarce. There were probably a couple of power lines here and there, but we had to do with minimal amount of electricity and conserve them. But I have to share this with you. two things were omnipresent in the eastern part of India. Number one was the Indian Army. The soldiers, they were braving such an inhospitable terrain. They were braving the weather, the cold, biting conditions, and they were there guarding all of us. So a huge salute to the Indian Army soldiers who are guarding us. The second omnipresent thing there was mobile data. The connectivity was seamless there. Despite the road highway being absent, I had seamless access to digital highway. So that's wonderful, isn't it? So I could actually navigate through the streets of the eastern Indian region through electric vehicles. And this was a surprise to me that there was so much proliferation of EVs in the eastern region. And I loved shopping. I loved shopping for all the local specialties there, and I could pay for all of them using UPI. I did not have to carry cash. I did not have to worry about where the next ATM was. I could, really shop to my heart's content. This really prodded me to think that innovation and disruption and technology's forte was just not our Namma Bengaluru. We are seeing this inclusion that technology is bringing in, innovation is bringing in to such far-flung areas. And I did not stop with that. This was at the Indo-Sikkim border. And here I was happily singing to my heart's content. I was singing this song and in fact uploading this on YouTube as well. So let me just sing a few lines for you from this song, and you can of course check the full version on YouTube. Maitrim bhajata kila hrijetrim, Maitrim bhajata akila hrijetrim, Atmavadeva paranapi pashyata, Yudham tyajata, spardham tyajata, Tyajata pareshvakramakramanam, Maitrim bhajata akila hrijetrim. So, thank you. This was a song much popularized by the much famed musician Srimati M.S. Subbulakshmi, composed by Kanchi Paramacharya. She sung this at the UN Day, at the UN General Assembly in 1966. And this song is a very meaningful one to be singing here at this border, because it's a very debatable border that we are all concerned about in terms of security. So it was a very hearty wish for peace, for collaboration, and well-being for all of us. So now talking of the role of United Nations now takes me to an adjacent topic of the Sustainability Development Goals. They have clearly laid out 17 huge areas of focus that we have to be focusing on, not just as individual, but as a nation, as a planet for the prosperity, and for safeguarding it for the future. I think this is very, very imminent. So while the United Nations have laid out these 17 goals, I want to, take a few seconds to talk about some of our work that we've done at Cisco, because we think it's very, very important to focus, given the guidance and the charter that United Nations have laid it for us. If you take a look at the goal number 3, we at Cisco worked with a startup called Tesla Technologies, providing access to telehealth during the COVID time frame. We were able to save several lives of not just patients, but of doctors as well. And this was not just in Bangalore. We were able to take this to many, many other areas where, quality healthcare was not easily accessible. We continue to kind of do many other initiatives as well, in the eICU space, partnering with a company called Cloud Physician, who were offering their eICU services, which were very specialized services. And this was taken all the way 24,000 feet high up in the Himalayas and in the deepest jungles of Assam. And to our own neighborhood in Ramnagara, these solutions are live. And we are very proud of such collaborations, such disruptive innovations that we've actually engaged in very meaningfully. The third one that I want to talk about is in the agri space with SatSure. I'm sure my next speaker is also going to talk about it and touch about it in detail on climate change. But I think that's most important. We can't eat money at the end of the day. We are dependent on the food on the plate, and what we are empowering our farmers to do is going to feed us back. And with this thought, we decided to partner with SatSure to bring together the power of satellite technologies and soil technologies so that we can give data-driven visibility not just to the farmers, but also to the village administration, and hence drive more funding for the farmers through financial institutions. Very, very fulfilled when we were able to achieve such kind of partnerships. But I think, my vacation did tell me that this is not enough. The 17 goals already is like a big checklist for us to look at, and we can't do this alone. None of us can do this alone. And there is much more scope to do that. Water is a huge luxury, I would say, not just in Bangalore. In the eastern region where there are so many mountainous terrains, water is a luxury. Clean, accessible, portable water is definitely a luxury. Think of electricity. And these are all actual pictures that I have shot from my camera, so excuse if the quality is not great, but these are the situations on the ground. Energy is very important in such regions, especially when you have to heat up your homes, when you have to light up these homes. It's just not about the transition, it's about transmission, it's about monitoring, it's about optimizing. And these are just not challenges, there are so many opportunities in all of these areas that lie before us. Think of mobility. We've had such interesting conversations about sustainable transportation. I think one of the key things is multimodality with respect to mobility. No one single means of transportation can sustain all of us, the population growth that we are seeing, the places that we want to get to. I think it's very critical to have multimodal access in all of these regions. Now I want to take a step back and touch upon Mr. Jagdish's point where he spoke about anchors. He spoke about startup anchors, but I would take a 10,000-foot view into this. Now there is a pattern here that when there are such problems of such huge scale, governments are coming in, corporates, industries are coming in, academia is aligning. And the best part is today, startups are also aligning into this stream. They are bringing in disruptive innovation to solve for such challenges. Now, if we look at this multimodality challenge in terms of mobility, we have answers. We have an e-plane which is already in construction. It's a work in progress. It's an IIT Madras startup which is going to give us access to flying taxi very soon. So you have an alternative next time you're caught in the Bangalore traffic jam. It's going to really help us. Ambulances will definitely find their way sooner and save patients. Medical essentials will get faster to the needy. And maybe we can also get our samosas delivered while we are stuck in the traffic jam if we get some miniature versions of this e-plane. Now you may think, hey, are these e-planes now trying to compete with SUVs? Perhaps sometime in the future, but definitely not today. Because this is what Deccan Herald is telling us, that EV registrations in 2023 have been a record number. And these are not just two-wheelers or four-wheelers, passenger vehicles. These are also covering the freight segment, the commercial segment, where there is a larger need to streamline activity for commercial purposes. So I think the EV wave has kind of struck us all. This is the second anchor, right, where you're seeing the government coming in with conducive policies, coming in with a lot of infrastructural support. Not just in the metros. This was a picture that I shot in the eastern region of India. Aether connectivity is right there in the eastern region as well. So if such innovations can go to the farthest ends of our country, I'm very sure that we can definitely reach the impact of all of these innovations across the world. UPI, who has not spoken about it? We have brought this to the world. We've made the heads of the world turn. And if you again look at this, the governmental framework has aligned together not just the power of Indian startups like Paytm or PhonePe, but even the multinationals have aligned to this. Google Pay, Amazon Pay, everybody has aligned into the UPI framework. And this is going to be the trend, definitely. Chandrayaan. This trend has very visibly come into the space technology segment as well. Not only did we have a visionary government leading the way, but a lot of the components, like the landing camera, the propulsion system, many of these came in from startups like Anant Tech, M-Star Tech, Paras Defense. We should be proud of all of our achievements. That brick by brick, innovation by innovation, we are actually reaching our pathway into the moon. So now, I think it's an inflection point. Before I come to this, I have a call to action. I want to discuss about the startup trends. This is all where we are today. This is the placement season as well for most of the students here. And you have a choice to get into cozy companies, dream companies, and the other to start a startup. I'll give you a few more points in terms of why you should actually be, going into the startup way. As part of the Startup India Seed Fund, which I'm an executive advisory committee member, we've infused 300 crores across the country. We have seen SIDBI injecting 16,647 crores to boost 881 startups. There are 40 state-level funds today. In fact, this is a massive improvement given that only 4 states had a state-level policy way back in 2016, and today this has spanned across 31 states across the country. We have an active state government policy specifically for startups. Did you know that as on 1st Jan 2024, there are 1,15,000 recognized startups in India? And the first 15,000 of them came in 1,110 days. It took over 3 years for the first 15,000 companies to get formed. Any guesses? How long did the last or the latest 15,000 companies to come in? Any numbers? Any guesses? Any other numbers? Not very close. It took a mere 178 days for the latest 15,000 companies in India to be created. So that is the motion, that is the buzz that's happening in India today. So it's a now or never moment. But I would also want to, give you 2 additional bonus points. We all love these numbers, right? 22,000 of them have been registered on GEM portal. So we're not just creating startups for the sake of creating startups, not just for the fun of it. We are doing real business. We are transforming the world around us. We are transforming our own society for our betterment using these innovations. Now this GEM is a portal which is created by the government of India through which they procure innovations from startup and they deploy it around us. So it's an amazing number to see that 250,000 orders worth 20,000 crores have actually been generated through this. So I don't think I'll have to show a bigger treasure or a kitty for those aspiring entrepreneurs there. It's a call to action. It's a clear call to action for all of you here that you just follow a simple 3-step process. You may ask me, how do I go about it? Just a simple 3-step process. Perceive, look around you, recognize what the opportunities are. Second, go ahead, build. Use all possible technologies, bring together a great team and build market relevant solutions. We just heard, a lot of insights on product market fit. This is very key. Build market relevant solutions. And finally, strive to stay on there and nurture and grow the business. Because this is very critical in not just success, but also overcoming failures, which is a very important learning in our journeys. Now, if you think, hey, you're just talking out of a textbook, I'm sure, a lot of you may be thinking that, but no, I'm not. Because there are people around you, there are people sitting right next to you who are PES students who've been there, done that. Can I request Ananya, Rahul, Abhilash, if you guys are around here, can you just stand up? We want to give you all a round of applause, please. Excellent, congratulations. I now have a $1 billion question. The nation wants to know. The world wants to know. Today we have 3 names on this slide. The next time I'm here on this stage, how many more of you will be on this slide? Can I have some of you standing up if you want your photos to be on this slide? Who wants to be the aspiring entrepreneurs, inspiring many, many others? Go ahead and stand up and show your passion, enthusiasm. Excellent. I conclude with inspiration from Swami Vivekananda. Arise, awake, and stop not till your disruptive innovation is unleashed. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable insights. You have encouraged us to find sustainable solutions to some of the world's most pressing issues. And ma'am, your mesmerizing voice was an incredible surprise to all of us. We now have some questions posed by the students of PES University.
From pioneer to powerhouse, your journey has inspired countless dreams. Could you share some of your pivotal moments for future women tech leaders?
So early in my school days, I listened very intently to my geography teachers, who taught me that Earth was not a plain one, it was a circular one. And there was no linear path to everything. There were so many circular and tangles around it. So that's been my journey, that it's not about just looking at things head on and conquering things head on. It's about looking at multiple things and weaving stories out of all that you have under your today I have access to the PES luminaries and all the experts here. So I think my thought process is about, hey, how do I use this sort of a wonderful network to leverage and accelerate my learning journey? How do I use this network to accelerate my growth journey? And if I can also just quote an example here. Right when I was graduating, I had an offer, not just from MNCs, but I also had an offer from a startup, which was not known. It was very less known. But I chose to join the startup. And people were actually curious, that I had not gotten an offer, or they were wondering if I hadn't gotten an offer from an MNC. But that conscious decision made a world of change. I went on to build the first lines of code, get the first customers. Like Jagdish was saying, there is so much learning when you're talking to customers, getting your first deployment done. There is so much holistic learning in a startup environment. And that really paved my way when I landed up in the Cisco universe, because the startup got acquired by Cisco at some point in 2009-10 timeframe. So that's been the journey of choosing the untrodden path and going after things that your gut says, hey, come on, try this. It's now or never.
Thank you, Mom. What changes would you like to see in the regulatory environment which can ensure the conduciveness of startups in India?
Now, this is not a very easy question to answer, especially when we are talking about startups. The first thing that comes to our mind is idea, funding, growth. So much so that is either an idea, a light bulb, or pockets of money that are coming in together. What I would like more to be coming into picture is ESG, which is environment, sustainability, and governance. And this is going to be very crucial because it is going to define the future of how we are going to live. And I would think from a regulatory perspective, simplification of all of these will really be helpful for the development of the startup environment.
Thank you, Mom. Milestone to dreamscapes. How can universities like PES aspire to inspire future generations to contribute towards Vision India 2047?
I think PES has been doing a great job already. Wonderful to engage with, especially CIE, which has been doing wonderful work in terms of cultivating future entrepreneurs and existing entrepreneurs as well. I would like to specifically call out Professor Satya, Professor Madhukar, and their contributions in inculcating the entrepreneurial mindsets in many, many of you. I think the underlying element is how can we think about translating the theoretical concepts that we are learning into applications and use cases. I think that's the crucial thing that I would really emphasize PES to take into account, especially when they are looking at framing the curriculum. That will be a game changer.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, what is the ideal future skill set that would be required to remain relevant in the field of a rapidly evolving tech landscape?
Today we can ask ChatGPT and Bard and it would answer most of these questions for us. But one thing that it definitely can't beat is our creativity. I think that's crucial. Design thinking, creativity is very, very crucial, and the appetite to constantly learn. I think those are the skill sets that would really stand us in good stead.
Thank you so much, Mark, for those encouraging and inspiring words. To express our heartfelt gratitude for your valuable presence, please accept this humble token of our appreciation.
Before we introduce our next speaker, how many of you here have heard of a country called Tuvalu? Tuvalu is a small island in Oceania that is unfortunately fated to be submerged within the next 60 years. Why? Climate change. The effect of this global phenomenon is becoming more and more visible in our daily lives.
Let's step into the world of a tech virtuoso, dedicated to driving climate awareness through innovation. He is an engineer whose expertise in spatial data and climate is reshaping our approach to environmental challenges. At ProClimb, he leads the charge in crafting technology that unravels the complexities of carbon markets and pushes for transparency in climate action.
With a journey that spans continents and industries, his educational foundation blends with professional stints in UK, USA, and Netherlands. As a global shaper and a climate reality leadership core member, he's been at the forefront of driving social change. His current passion lies in merging technology and ecological models to tackle our most pressing climate and biodiversity issues.
Please join us in welcoming Mr. Gagan Reddy for today's Young Innovator Talk.
Hello, everyone. Sure, good evening and congratulations on completing 50 years. People who have been part of this journey for decades and who have just joined the family, I think you're in a great place. We've had some great talks tonight. I think we'd stretch our hands a little bit. I want to ask a few questions. Bear with me. So, how many of you have heard about ChatGPT by show of hands? Yeah, most of you. I think you're all using it to write your assignments now. How about the climate crisis? How many of you heard about the climate crisis? All right, young audience, informed. That's good to hear. What about DALI? A little less than ChatGPT, but it's out there. How many of you think that the quality of the air in Bangalore is toxic? Really, I thought more people would be bothered by this, but very few. Right? So, why am I asking all these questions? Is because I wanted to take you to this picture where innovation is required to solve complex challenges. And now we are in the midst of one of the greatest challenges, which is the climate crisis. Yesterday, this picture was taken, 1969, when a member of our own species landed on the moon and took a picture of Earth. We all have thousands of images on our phones now, but this one is special. For the first time, we saw how beautiful and finite our planet was. Once thought of vast and limitless for voyagers was now a tiny speck. And this living planet is powered by the sun. Just to do a very quick Climate 101 primer, 99.9% of all the energy on the planet comes from the sun. Most of it is reflected back out into space. Some of it stays here. Remember those pesky greenhouse gases, CO2, methane, that we're breathing in on a daily basis? They are good for us because they kept us cozy. They kept us warm. But the more we put out there, that blanket becomes a bit thicker. And the Earth gets hotter. At the moment, we are spewing about 162 million tons of global man-made greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere. If we thought the planet was a tiny speck, our atmosphere is even smaller. It's just 100 kilometers that way. Right? All of this emissions is going into the atmosphere. Now, what is the problem with this? The problem is the temperature is changing. It is a climate crisis. We have seen an increase of about 1.2 degrees Celsius rise in temperature. Now, you might think 1.2 degrees is nothing. We see that on a daily basis. That's weather. Climate has been stable for the last 10,000 years, not varying on the positive or the negative more than 0.5 degrees. And that's allowed us to see patterns of predictability, to settle down, to grow crops, and build all these cities that we live in. But that stability is under threat now. 21 of the hottest years ever recorded have come in the last 22 years. Most of you are all that age. Your entire lives have been in this anomaly. And that anomaly is getting worse. Now, when you think about emissions, the first thing that comes to mind is transport, cars, trucks, that are causing these emissions. But agriculture is also a big sector of emissions. 25% comes from that. Construction is another 25%. And the energy sector obviously makes up a chunk of it. So there are all of these different sources of greenhouse gas emissions that our current way of life is causing. And that brings us to now. We see a way forward that can be sustainable and aligned with the climate, or we follow the status quo, which is polluting. Now, many of you are engineers here who want to work in nice tech jobs, maybe Google or Netflix. Some of you are artists who've been pigeonholed into the engineering career because rite of passage. Maybe some of you want to take a business path, get an MBA. Now, all of this is very promising, exciting stuff. But how does the future of your careers look like? And despite our differences, we can always fall back on our one common ground, which is Earth. based on that, I want to emphasize a little bit about a career in engineering, right? You can choose to work for status quo fossil fuel industry, or you can choose to work in the renewable sector. India is building close to 500 gigawatts of renewable energy. But we're also building coal plants. It's sort of contradictory. But we don't have a choice. We still need to build coal because that is the status quo of operations. But here's a controversial thought. If none of you applied to oil and gas companies, wouldn't that send a very strong signal for faster transition? That's exactly what happened in 2019 for a large company called Shell. In its home country of the Netherlands, nobody applied to their finance program. They had 0 applicants. Would you think this company would continue to operate the way it does, or would it choose to transition faster to renewable energies? Now, when we talk about architects and people making these beautiful structures, the status quo uses a lot of steel and cement, which is carbon intensive. But can we innovate to use new materials, have innovations in material sciences? At this stage, this institution empowers innovation, it empowers innovators. People are going out there and doing amazing things. But it also gives privilege of choice. We can choose to build better, or we can choose to build the same way, which is causing all these problems. So the choice is something that's right in front of us. Talking about software, we're in Bangalore, the Silicon Valley of India. So many software companies out there. And most of you will end up working in software. If you ask your interviewer a question in a year or two, what is the sustainability strategy of your company? Do you think they will have an answer? And how would that make you feel? If they defer to a simple sustainability report, can you question them again on what they've done? Every single text message that you send, every image that you post online, has a carbon footprint because it is going through some data center somewhere that is using fossil fuel energy. I'm so glad that the speakers who came before me mentioned so many topics in mobility, in data centers, in innovation. These are topics that I resonated with a lot because it comes back to that fundamental thing of choice. You can choose to work in a better company, or you can choose to work for a status quo company. Looking at people who are going into business, you can say these are all management decisions. We don't have a choice on that, right? And revenue can be seen as the North Star metric, even today. But how can we also add people and profit as a triple bottom line? You cannot have a sustainable business without resources coming into the company, without natural resources from the planet or from people. If people are saying, I don't want to work for this company, do you think that business is sustainable? I also want to just touch upon healthcare sector. This is a double whammy situation because the healthcare sector contributes to about 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions. But if the climate goes wrong, if people are suffering from bad air quality with respiratory illnesses, if people are getting poor nutrition because the crops are dying, where do you go to? You go to the healthcare professionals. So the healthcare professionals working in this space can choose to work for a net zero healthcare facility, which reduces his energy consumption, which reduces his waste, and taking a pathway towards net zero, but also helping itself in the long run. Now, that choice that I was talking about, I made that choice 8 years ago to work in the climate space. My job is to build technology products so that we can make more carbon projects. When I say a carbon project, it means planting a forest. It means planting a mangrove forest, building a renewable energy plant, improving the energy efficiency of a factory, setting up a pump storage facility, setting up a green hydrogen. There are multiple opportunities to set up projects. Everything that reduces, avoids, or offsets carbon emissions into the atmosphere can be classified as a carbon project, And as soon as you avoid offset a ton of CO2, you can earn a carbon credit. Now that is a financial instrument right now. It is a profitable market. So if you make a bet that, hey, I want to work in sustainability, I want to work in the climate space, it is not an altruistic, philanthropic thing anymore. It's one of economic value. The carbon markets right now stand at $1 trillion economy by itself. A lot of it is in compliance, some of it is in voluntary. If you've seen Apple's recent net zero video where they have a conference call with Mother Earth, that's a good step, but it's voluntary. They're not under compliance yet, right? And there's a lot of innovation to be made to make these products truly net zero. And there's a seismic shift in terms of how countries are looking at it, how corporations are looking at it. If you've heard about the term net zero, everybody's promised it. 2030, 2040, 2050, India has promised it for 2070. Can we look at 2047 as an ambition? The government has set its policy, but what if we have enough innovators here and outside who come and say, hey, I'm going to innovate to make sure that we reach that faster? They directly tie to the Sustainable Development Goals. All of those goals that the countries got together and set for ourselves to have an equitable, just, safe planet for the future, the climate crisis is a threat to that as well. And we have the Paris Climate Accord. That is one document that all of the countries in the world have signed. There is no other document that all the countries have signed. We just have one document. So the global goals are there. The global ambition is there. The direction is there. The transition is already underway. The question now is, how fast can we get there? I'd like to leave you with one thing. Our economy is embedded within our biosphere. We cannot have unlimited growth on a planet with a finite number of resources. A strong planet means a strong society, means a strong economy. And you have the choices ahead of you to make right now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for shedding light on such a pressing global matter. It's important that we as a community make a collective effort to battle climate change. To express our heartfelt gratitude for your presence, please accept this humble token of our appreciation.
Thank you.
We now invite Rituparna for a special segment to celebrate the legacy of PES University.
I would like to introduce this segment with a quote by Sir M. Vishveshwaraya, a quote that embodies the values and the vision of our founder. It goes, "The way to build a nation is to build a good citizen. The majority of citizens should be efficient, of good character, and possess reasonable, high sense of duty." I would like to present to you an ode to the strong spirit, agile mind, and the driving force behind PES, our founder and my grandfather, Dr. M.R. Doraiswamy.
A nation, it is made of dreams, of ideas that turn into historic moments, creates institutions, and builds legends.
In premier institutions, outstanding students, excellent faculty, and world-class infrastructure have been our tools of success.
These dreams take root in perseverance. They grow from the determination and courage to believe in a unified vision. They stem from a solid foundation an unwavering commitment. Amplified by a team that is driven by the same ambition. The only goal is to excel. Excel in aspiration, in performance, in vision, and even in service.
The wide gap that is prevailing between the rural and urban. To fill up this gap as far as possible, one of the measures initiated is adopting rural government primary and middle schools.
Service to this great nation to which we belong, where in order to succeed, we need to succeed together. And the only way to progress is by taking the nation along. At the center of everything we do is the future of our nation, our students. It's for us to make them the best they are capable of being and create change makers. It's on us to design the future, take pride in our roots, and take our nation to the world. It's on us to make a mark, set new standards, and reach beyond the boundaries set for us. Because this is just the beginning of what we are capable of creating. This is just the beginning of a dream we are building together. Learning and growing while we never forget where it all began.
It all should start from individual. My activity should not harm the society. Have Abdul Kalam, Saram Visheshwaraya as your role models. Grow in the direction. Be great asset not only to your family, but to the society and to the country and to the humanity. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was truly moving. PES has had its humble beginnings with 40 students in a rented gym and has now come a long way in 50 years with nearly 25,000 students across more than 40 disciplines. The driving force behind the tremendous growth of PES group of institutions is Dr. M.R. Doreswamy sir, who embodies the ideals of perseverance, excellence, and service.
PES University has fostered a spirit of innovation and encouraged students for decades to pursue their passions and make a lasting difference across diverse fields. Today, as we commemorate the Golden Jubilee of PES University, we would like to felicitate some of our distinguished alumni who began their journeys as visionary change makers and innovators at PES University and went on to become indomitable in their respective fields.
We now request Professor Jawahar sir, the Honorable Pro-Chancellor of PES University, along with Dr. Suresh Krishnamurthy, Medical Director at PES Institute of Medical Science and Research, Kuppam, and PES IMSR, Bengaluru, to kindly take the stage to felicitate the alumni. We request the distinguished alumni to come to the stage to collect their awards as and when they are introduced.
Bindu S. Shastri is the founder and MD at Maverick and the co-founder and director of Rasodia Enterprises Private Limited. With an engineering degree in computer science from PES University, she is passionately committed to fostering entrepreneurship and raising awareness about cybersecurity among women and children. Along with having over 24 years of experience in the global IT industry, she is the co-founder and secretary of the Bilba Foundation and a co-founder of Sparkle Berries.
Shri Ramesh Krishnamurthy graduated from PES in 2000 with a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. He is a founding member of Sixth India and is currently the co-CEO and Executive Director of Engineering at Sixth Research and Development. He is an experienced leader with a history of building product teams and delivering products across mobile and web sectors. He is also the recipient of the ACE Award in 2013.
Dr. Suchindra Kumar is a director at SPX Tokyo and holds a PhD in computer science from the National University of Singapore and a bachelor's in biotechnology from PES University. With over 15 years of experience at the dynamic intersection of biomedicine and computer science, he has established himself as both a distinguished technologist and scientist. He has a wide array of publications and patents under his belt. As a technology advisor for various deep tech ventures, he channels his entrepreneurial spirit into each venture.
Ms. Pooja Venkatesh is the co-founder and co-CEO at Next Big Innovation Labs. She graduated with a degree in biotechnology from PES University and went on to obtain a master's degree in business management from Cass Business School, London. She has also been a speaker at various prestigious events like Innovate Bengaluru and the Indo-US Bilateral Workshop on 3D printing. She was also a part of a VIP delegation from India for the OS Biotech Conference in 2019.
Mr. Syed Hasib Arfat graduated from PES in 2010 with a computer science engineering degree. He currently serves as the CTO for Signpost India Limited. A pioneering tech innovator, he has driven monumental changes in advertising and urban mobility. He led a groundbreaking transformation at Signpost, revolutionizing out-of-home advertising. He was also the youngest CXO of a listed company.
Shri Sharath R. Prabhat graduated from PES in 2011 with a bachelor's in business administration and is the founding CEO of Padapa and an artistic director at Prabhat Arts International and a trainer at Samudyata. He has excelled as a creative director, music composer, dance choreographer, and actor. Beyond his artistic prowess, Sharath is a dedicated educator. He has also been the proud recipient of numerous accolades and awards for his work.
Shri Rai Nitin Chitranshi graduated from PES University in 2007 with a master's in computer applications. An innovator at heart, he has developed revolutionizing ideas in the fields of EV charging, e-commerce development, and the finance sector. He has worked across Europe, Asia Pacific, and South America in different business vertices. He has most notably built a startup in the space of electric mobility charging services called Evnovator.
Shri Pavan N. studied biotechnology at PES, graduating with a Bachelor of Engineering in 2010. He further obtained an MBA from Mysore University and a PGDEA from Symbiosis University, Pune. He cleared the KPSC examinations to be selected for the post of Deputy Superintendent of Police in 2014 and has subsequently served as the DSP Bengaluru Rural and ACP Electronics City. He has additionally been immensely appreciated for his contribution in cracking cyber crime cases and in tracking narcotic criminals from across the country. Currently, he is posted as the Assistant Commissioner of Police, Subramanyapura Subdivision, Bengaluru.
Ms. Sanjana Mangalagiri graduated from PES University in 2004 after completing her studies in biotechnology. Today, she stands as an immensely respected, solution-oriented legal counselor and business leader. With 11 years of experience behind her, she has a proven ability to influence peers and team members to create alignment and deliver results in a highly matrix environment.
For the much-awaited PES alumnus talk, it is an absolute privilege to invite Dr. Gauri Srinivasa. Her journey from being a student in the hallways of PES to being one of the most renowned professors at the university has been nothing short of extraordinary.
Dr. Gauri Srinivasa had graduated as the first ranked student across the entire CSE department at PESIT in 2004 and was the youngest PhD recipient at Carnegie Mellon University. Since September 2008, she has served as a professor in the Department of CSE at PES and heads the Center for Pattern Recognition.
She has designed and taught multiple courses regarding data science, mentored hundreds of students on research projects, and has facilitated internships from across the globe. She is a senior member of the IEEE and has over 600 citations, 100 papers, and a number of patents.
We now invite Dr. Gauri Srinivasa to kindly address the gathering on behalf of the alumni.
A very good evening to everyone. On behalf of all the alumni awardees and their families, a heartfelt thank you to the leadership of PES for organizing such a wonderful event. It's such an honor to even be here and participate in this event, let alone share the stage with such wonderful people with such wonderful accomplishments behind them. There is a profound sense of nostalgia and gratitude reflecting on my journey through the portals of PES. For a professor with a mic and a captive audience and a wonderful auditorium like this, it's quite a tough call to have to summarize my sentiments in a few minutes. I'll do my very best to do that. This adventurous journey began with the orientation talk, as it would be the case for many of us, with a very high impact orientation talk by our Pro-Chancellor, Professor Jawahar Sir. I vividly recall him talking to us about Kaizen in the orientation, the philosophy of constant self-improvement. This instilled in us a striving to be better versions of ourselves. The very first day at PES, in the somewhat newly minted Dr. MRD block, we were given course information files with the syllabus, calendar of events, question banks for every subject, along with the 3 Ds printed on every page: discipline, dedication, and deference. This has reflected in almost every activity that has happened in PES, not only as I was a student, but right through till now. Internally, PES is not just an acronym. It is the very epitome of the values, perseverance, excellence, and service. We see this on a daily basis, reflected in every action of the leadership of PES and with the faculty. We can't help but be influenced by this. So it is no wonder that as students, whether it was my time or today, we are just spurred to escape the gravity of mediocrity, personally and professionally. Every alumnus who has an opportunity to speak says their batch was special. It should just be the PES's way of treating students, because I would say the exact same thing. We were the special millennial batch that entered the portals of PES in 2000. And we had CET rank 2 Amit Gandhi in our batch. Amit, along with Satya from Mechanical Engineering, is now a partner at McKinsey. Both of them are partners at McKinsey and are doing brilliantly. I tried to gather a few samples of what came out of this special millennial batch. So we had a bunch of VTU ranks. In our time, we were affiliated to VTU. We had Ashwin Nandan from the CSE, Nandita from ECE, who went on to do her PhD from IIT Bombay and is now a professor at IIITB. There are others who pursued their PhDs. Simoni Shah completed her PhD from TIFR and solved a 20-year conjecture in computer science. Jnaneshwar Das is a PhD from USC, and today he's a professor of Earth and Space Exploration at Arizona State University. And there are others like Ramya Raghavendra, who has a PhD from UCSB, worked on the research staff of IBM for several years, and is now a member of the research staff at Meta, working on cutting-edge AI. We have a lot of CTOs from our batch, which includes Yashas, who is also going to be honored soon, and who has a plethora of degrees to his name. We have Prasad A, who is the CTO at VTiger, and there are so many entrepreneurs. Jyotirmayi JT sold her company Hive Minds to Madison World. Giridhar built his startup right out of Banshankari and has sold it to Facebook. We have Krishna Chaitanya, whose first venture was Euler Systems, was bought by India Bulls, and his second venture, Kshana AI, has been providing internships and tier 1 job offers to our students even right now. Rupashri has gone on to study the Waldorf system of education and has started a home school, and has also opened a dance school in Michigan. And Raghavendra, our very own cricket little master, and a product of IIM Bangalore, owns Halli Mane Dose Camp Bakery World. So this is just a really small list to save time, but this is the kind of output that we had from our batch. There are so many inspiring seniors, many of whom have walked the stage yesterday and will continue to be here. They were here, they are here today and will be felicitated in the next couple of days. And just so many people for us to gain inspiration from. So looking at my journey as a faculty, months before I graduated, I was visiting home and I just happened to walk into Professor Jawahar Sir's office. And the clarity of vision and the passion with which he shared ideas left me with no doubt that PES is the place to be. So when it was time to choose at the time of graduation what the next step should be, I had no second thoughts in coming back. Returning to PES is like having courtside seats to watching this amazing growth, and an absolute privilege every single day. My faculty stint began at EC campus. I should allude to the flyover batch that Shreyas talked about yesterday. So there was no flyover and I was commuting from Malleshwaram. I literally did not know what I signed up for until the day I went to actually sign my offer letter at PES, and as it was then called. And then I realized I'd have at least 4 or 5 hours on the road, and there was no way I could keep my eyes open. The chaos was just a little overwhelming. So it turned out to be quite good initially. I was still wrapping up my work with my lab mates at CMU. We worked late into the nights. So I used most of my commute time to just catch up on lost sleep. But as days passed by, I couldn't possibly sleep for 4 to 5 hours. And Professor Jawahar Sir, full of ideas, was looking at what we could do in the education space to build solutions for our own university. So he started mooting the idea of automated assessments, question generation, and so on. I kept thinking I'm trained in image processing, signal processing. I have worked on biomedical applications. What am I going to do? So that is how I began to use the commute time to listen to natural language processing and started studying Sanskrit. It was pre-podcast days, so that was a good use of a very long commute. At some point, I had to start driving myself. So, catching up on sleep or listening to classes was not quite the option. So I had the privilege of staying at the Amatra campus and interacting with some of the high school students there, getting to play basketball. They very good-naturedly allowed me to shoot a few baskets. So I've kind of had footprints on pretty much all campuses. Coming back here at RR campus has been a true homecoming. my own teachers, to work under the leadership of my own teachers and very committed colleagues here has been so wonderful. They have all been so affectionate. But I must say, mentally, I don't think I ever graduated really as a student. It still feels like there is so much to learn from everyone. I really don't feel as much as like I am a faculty as I do that I am a student. PES has never said no to anything at all. So even before we had these 2 months of summers, we were able to get sponsored by the Canton of Vaud, Switzerland, to a summer university program of 8 weeks that allowed our students to travel either to Switzerland or to the US and learn from people there. And the leadership has been so kind to continue to press these efforts on, to send students out to universities in the US for research internships. All this way before we even had those luxury of 2 entire summer months. We have built PESUbot, our very own version of a robo-receptionist and chatbot, years before ChatGPT, Bard or Bing were so famous as they are now. We've even worked on de novo drug generation with a team at EC campus, trying to move towards getting our own vaccine. This was during the pandemic years. So we have really had no limit to the things that we could try being here. As a faculty, it gives great pride to look at and a lot of fulfillment to look at the successful stories of students and what they have become. So, Arfat is also here a product of the same PESI, and I will save time in not listing out the very, very many students that we have who have gone on either to do their masters and PhDs and either they're CEOs or working at R&D centers or entrepreneurs in all spheres, I would say, of professional life. A lot of potential remains to be tapped with our alumni, and we hope to make good moving forward of all that is there, that we can continue to engage with them. For the students over here, I was sincerely wondering, I don't do anything to project myself, somehow recognition comes. It's so kind of everyone here at PES to be so affectionate and indulgent. And one of my really good friends pointed out and said, even someone who wants to live in a cave and just read something can thrive in PES. So it's to all of you out there who have any thoughts about coming back, this really is the place to be. In terms of the few takeaway lessons of what I have learned in my time at PES and try to continue to imbibe, the first one is make the most of time. Time is something that's the only thing, in fact, that is debited and we cannot get back, so make it count. Learn to learn. This is super important. Technologies are changing very rapidly. It's not about the syntaxes or the specific concepts, it's about problem solving and building a process for learning. So that is something that would make us adaptable and help us moving forward. I think Kaizen is the second. Competing with yourself will allow you to enjoy and celebrate the successes of others and set your own goals and path without having any limitation of what someone else managed to achieve or did not. And I think PES is a case in point in terms of setting its own goals and path. PES is my last lesson: perseverance, striving for excellence, and service, whatever little we can do for others. I have seen with PES and have no doubt at all that where there is purity of intention, courage of conviction, backed by sincere hard work, divine grace just flows and the universe conspires to make things happen even if we don't go after things. So truly this recognition feels like the captain of a team getting to lift a trophy for runs scored and wickets taken by the teammates. I think this is a recognition of the enormous support, encouraging support from the leadership of PES, our Pro-Chancellor, Professor Jawahar Sir, ably supported by our COO, Professor Ajoy Kumar Sir, and our Vice-Chancellor, Dr. JSP Sir, as well as the wonderful faculty team, which is almost a tight-knit family at EC campus, and the very committed and dedicated faculty colleagues at RR campus, that include my very own teachers, leaders of various institutions, and heads of departments. To the families of the alumni, I think this recognition is no less yours for making so many a personal sacrifice not seem a big deal. Our founder and Chancellor, Dr. MRD Sir, exhorts us always to take inspiration from great leaders and thinkers of the past, like Shankaracharya ji, Swami Vivekananda, engineers like Dr. Sir M. Vishweshwaraya Sir, and so on. And Professor Jawahar Sir has always, looks at what can be rather than merely what is, and exhorts us to aim for the moon, quite literally, since PES has participated in satellite missions of ISRO. So whenever should we fall aiming for the moon, we are still among the stars. To PES, I extend my deepest gratitude for being the crucible that continues to mold who we are. Here's to 50 glorious years and to many, many more milestones, bigger and better in the years to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for those enlightening words. Your story inspires us all to strive for greatness, to push our limits, and to make a lasting impact in our respective endeavors.
As we come to the close of Day 2 of Bharat Unleashed and our discussions on disruptive innovation, breaking the status quo, we would like to sincerely thank all of our speakers, dignitaries, and distinguished alumni who made today such an illuminating event.
Let us carry forward the valuable conversations we have had today with thought leaders who provided insights into how India can utilize the power of innovation for the benefit of all its citizens.
Thank you all once again for coming together to unleash our nation's true potential.
This brings us to the close of the Speakers' Conclave of Day 2 of Bharat Unleashed.
We now sincerely request the dignitaries on the dais and the audience to please stand for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Get ready to immerse yourself in an evening of divine music that speaks the language of the soul. In this celebration of culture and tradition, each note resonates with the rich heritage and emotive storytelling deeply rooted in our hearts.
Let us embark on a musical journey with Sur Sandhya, where the harmony of ragas and the grace of talas transport us to a realm where the essence of India's classical artistry reigns supreme. The performance will be held in the PES cricket ground.
As we disperse from this venue, we request the audience to clean up any trash items they might have left in their immediate surroundings and also make sure not to leave any belongings behind. We request the attendees to keep their wristbands secure as they will be required to avail refreshments and attend the performance.
As you make your way to the PES cricket ground, make sure to grab the high tea refreshments provided in the quadrangle. Dinner will be served there as well between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m.
Once the performance elapses, shuttle bus services will be made available for transportation from the cricket ground to PES University main gate and the Mysore Road metro station. We request you to exercise caution while exiting the campus due to high traffic on the outer ring road.
Last but not the least, brace yourselves for a magical evening of pure joy and fun. These are your MCs, Yash
and Shruti signing off.
Thank you.